So we are going to recite the Mangalacharya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadameyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhamritamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhuta Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Hare Krishna, welcome all of you back to Bhagavad Gita in 18 days. So yesterday we finished chapter 7, and before beginning the 8th chapter, we will just sum up what we learned. So who is going to volunteer today? V.S. Kirtana Mataji. See Kirtana Mataji. Are you there? Were you there yesterday, Mataji? So, Mataji.
For not for the whole class, but then I was there for a few times.
Okay, so whatever you were there for, you can just sum up that, whatever you heard, whatever points you could take from yesterday's class. You did chapter 7 yesterday. Anything, Mataji, anything you remember. No such, because the Bhagavad Gita is such that, even if I'm remembering my whole life, I still cannot. It is so deep. So whatever little we remember, we must share with others. You are waiting, Mataji? Anything. So Mataji, I think Mataji may have the hitch. Archana Mataji, are you there today?
Yes, Mataji, I'm there today.
Okay, so please sum up.
Actually, yesterday I was not there for the whole class, but I went to the recording and I completed a few of the points. Yesterday we spoke about Bhakti Yoga, which is the topmost form of yogas in comparatively, and Bhakti Yoga means it's completely consciousness on the Lord, doing everything for pleasing the Lord. Before the chapters, we discussed about something which is not completely pleasing the Lord, which is doing for ourselves a bit, but the Bhakti Yoga means it's completely pleasing the Lord. And in Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yoga consists of 9 processes, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, and Atmanivedanam.
Yes.
So, right, and then uh, when a person knows all the cause of all the causes, then our inquisitiveness will be satisfied. So Krishna name itself means attractiveness, uh, and Krishna is attracted to the love of his devotees, and he comes to serve those devotees. And Next, we Krishna have 8 energies, which are earth, fire, water, air, mind, intelligence, false ego, and ether.
Mataji, I'm just interrupting. These are his
Okay.
material energies. Actually,
Material, okay.
Krishna has two primary energies. One is the
Internal potency.
internal potency, one is external potency. And under this external potency are these 8 elements.
Under internal,
The external
external.
one. External means the material energy.
Okay.
These elements are not there in the spiritual nature. I mean, they are not there in his internal, the spiritual world. The Mahatattva is made in the external energy of the Lord.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah.
And the in between internal potency and external potency, we have katas.
Tatastha. That is Tat. T-A-T.
Khat
T-A-T.
asta
Mataji. Tathastha Shakti.
Kathastha Shakti, which is the combination of spiritual and material, and we humans are in this state. So everything is actually running on Krishna. He's the original seed of all the existence, and in order for one being king, guru, or parent, if he only if he can input Krishna's consciousness on his dependence. So the most actual purpose of human life is to know its benefit, how it can do karma. And until this, I've gone through the recording, Mataji.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mataji. Quite a bit. Anyone else? Deepika Mataji, you have anything to contribute?
Yes, Mataji, we have talked about three Vishnus, Mahavishnu, Vishnu, and Shiva Dakshinaya Vishnu.
Okay, Mataji, just a sec. I have muted you. Asked you unmute. Okay.
Yes, Mataji, we have talked on three Vishnu.
Uh, Can everybody mute themselves? Some disturbance is there. Hello, Hare Krishna. Mataji, please continue your points. Rajamouli Prabhuji, I think your microphone is
Mataji.
unmuted. Turn it off. Huh?
Mataji?
Yeah, can you just mute yourself, Prabhuji? Some disturbance is
Okay,
coming.
Mataji.
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Mataji, please come
We
with
have
your
talked
point.
about three Vishnu.
Yes.
Vishnus, Mahavishnus, Garbha Vishnus, and Shiro Dakshinaya Vishnu. That Mahavishnus is the source of energies, material energies. Then you have talked about breathe in and breathe out of that energy. Then it's Garbha Vishnu, that is creation of sky of four things, and Shiro Dakshinaya Vishnu is the Paramatma. And
Yes.
then in that you have talked about the Shiro Dakshini, two energies, internal and external. Internal energy we get it from Radharani, and external energies, eight type of energies. And then you have talked on like whatever we understand. For lightning, we have to go through the darkness, and for the winning, you have to lose the thing. For food, you have to find hunger, and understanding the learning process. And we know that for learning, we have to know the things and realize that particular learning.
Yes.
And we talked about three sources like Guru, Sadhu, and yeah, we have asked one question on the naming thing. On that, we have explained we have to justify three sources like Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. What Shastra says
Yes.
to the naming thing.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much, all of you, for your contributions. So, we will begin the 8th chapter today, Attaining the Supreme. So, also, the primary thing that we started with was that the process starts by hearing. Anything we learn in this world, it starts with the process. Learning starts with hearing. Whether you're reading books or hearing, it starts. So we are here learning about the Supreme. Because if we want to love somebody, we must know him. How does love develop? Like they say, that Narad Muni spoke to Rukmini Mata, about Krishna, his qualities. And after hearing about the qualities she developed, she had never seen Krishna. She had never seen him. In those days, there were no televisions, no pictures. She had just heard about him. So, just by hearing about his qualities, she developed so much love for him that she wanted to marry him. She wanted to have him as her husband. And just like, Krishna sees the desire of everyone, he saw her desire. Anybody sincerely praying, calling out for Krishna, he is there for them. That is how he's attracted. That is what can attract him, this love. If we don't have that love, or we are pretending that we have love, Krishna can see. So through love, he can immediately gets attracted to it and he reciprocates. So here Arjuna vacha kim tad brahma kim madhyatmam kim karma purushottama adibhutam cha kim proktam adidaiva kimuchyate. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Arjuna inquired, O my Lord, O Supreme Person, what is Brahman? What is the Self? What are the fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? And what are the demigods? Please explain this to me. So now he has to know the Lord. The chapter is titled Attaining the Supreme. So how you attain the Supreme? What is the criteria? So for that, now because Lord has spoken in the last chapter, he spoke that, foolish people go to demigods and all those things he has spoken. Now he wants valid reasons for whatever he's heard from the Lord. So he questions. So a good student, you see, any in learning, you see the way information is transferred is through questions and answers. Question is inquiry, answer is the feedback. So question and answers, and this leads one to be more informed, more in knowledge. This is the process. You have to ask questions and then the authority will answer. That is how you gain knowledge. So here he is asking about 6 things in this shloka. Brahman, what is the self, actually Adhyatma, what are fruitive activities, what is the material manifestation, and what are the demigods. Please explain this to me. Shloka number 2. Arjuna only is asking, who is the Lord of sacrifice? How does he live in the body? O Madhusudana, how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Because when the Lord was explaining the other yoga systems, he tells them how at the time of death, when the yogi is like concentrating on the Lord, he attains to the nature of the Lord. So he wants to know, what is your nature, first of all. You said he will attain that nature without doubt. So what is that nature, first of all? And who is the Lord of sacrifice? How does he live in the body? Whatever sacrifices he perform, who is the actual benefactor? And how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? Now, in Dhyana Yoga, you explained how they elevate and how they gradually, and sometimes even if they fail, they take birth. But in Bhakti Yoga, what happens at the time of death? How does the devotee remember you? So now these almost six, you can just see the translations here. Arjuna Uvacha said, Kim what? Tat Brahma, Brahman. Kim what? Adhyatmam, the self. Kim karma, fruitive activities. Purusha Uttama, O Supreme Person. Adi Bhutam, the material manifestation. And Kim what? Proktam is called Adi Devam, the demigods. Kim what? Uchyate is called. So what are these? Tell me in detail. This is Arjuna's. Primarily he is asking 8 questions here. First, the Lord will answer the first 6. So, 3. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavodhyatmanuchyate Bhuta Bhava Bhavokara Visharga Karma Samjita. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the indestructible, transcendental, living entity is called Brahman, and his eternal nature is called Adhyatma, the self. Action pertaining to the development of the material or living body entities is called karma or fruitive activity. So Srila Prabhupada has explained this to us in one of his lectures I heard. Now the first question is, what is Brahman? Now here they attain to the Brahman. Even the yogis, they want to, what is this Brahman? So he because the Lord has used these words in the previous chapters, uh, Arjuna wants to know. So Krishna tells Arjuna that Jiva is Brahman. Why Jiva is Brahman? Actually, Srila Prabhupada has explained, Brahman means that which is big, big Brahman, and which is always growing also. So Srila Prabhupada has explained. So what is Brahman? And he tells that Jiva is Brahman. What does that mean, Jiva is Brahman? Jiva is eternal, full of knowledge and full of bliss. He is spiritual. The Jiva and the soul of Jiva are spiritual in nature. And Brahman is indestructible and eternally existing. So that is what he is explaining. The Jiva also by nature is eternal. What is the nature of Brahman? So here Lord Srila Prabhupada has explained, but beyond Brahman there is Para Brahman. Brahman refers to the living entity and Para Brahman refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This many people are not able to discriminate. That qualitatively the Jiva is also Brahman. Aham Brahmasmi, when they say, it means that I am spirit soul. It doesn't mean that, some people translate it as I am God, he is God, everybody is God. So that is not correct. Beyond Brahman, there is Para Brahman, the supreme consciousness. And the Para Brahman refers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Question number 2. What is self? So now the self, when we are talking about, he attains the self. He realizes the self. So here it is explained the nature of the Jiva, the Adhyatma or self, is to eternally serve. What is the nature of the Brahman? The nature of the Brahman is to serve the Para Brahman. And because he's Brahman, he has the quality of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, just like the Lord has. So qualitatively, he is like the Lord, but not quantitatively. Just like a sea, full of water, even a drop of a sea is like the sea water only. But quantitatively, a drop is nowhere in comparison to the quantity of water in the sea. So here it is explained, the constitutional position of the living entity is different from the constitutional position he takes in the material world. The fact that we are in the material world means that we have fallen down from our true nature. Our original nature is to serve the Lord, but we have fallen down from that. And that is the cause of our misery, foregoing this service attitude towards the Lord. In the material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the Lord of matter. Here we want to be the Lord. We don't want to be in a inferior position. We think it is inferior. Actually, those who are servants of Lord, look at the demigods. They have humbly taken to be the agents of Lord. That is what makes them superior, because they are servitor. Have you ever seen sun taking off even for a day, or even for a second for that matter? How devoted they are in their service to the Lord. They are also performing their activity. Do they labor? That is why they are higher than humans. Though not as high as the devotees, but they have better facilities also because of the service attitude. In material consciousness, his nature is to try to be the Lord of matter, but in spiritual consciousness, Krishna consciousness, his position is to serve the Supreme. So this is the difference between the two natures of Lord and the two natures of the spiritual and the material world. Material nature is, I want to be the Lord, I want to enjoy the fruits of my work. What is spiritual nature? Everything belongs to Lord, nothing is mine, and I am only a servant. My business is just to serve him and make him happy. So there are two different mindsets. And how these contribute to our destiny, we will now learn. Now the third question is, what is karma? Karma, karma yoga, so much you have spoken about. But actually, what is karma? So here Srila Prabhupada has explained that karma is not simply activity. Not that, displacement of something from one point to another is defined as work. We are not talking about that work here. Karma is not simply activity, but specifically activity that develops a material body. So whatever work we perform is because of our desires. That is the primary motivation for any work. The immediate cause could be anything else. But where does it start? It starts from desire. When we desire something, we endeavor to get it. And that endeavor becomes our activity. And this endeavor, the material nature is made so to create a facility for that desire, which we have studied in the earlier chapters. So according to the desire of a living entity, his next body is created to enjoy that desire. So all these desires that we have, they are the source of creating the next body. And it's a subtle science. Like I told you, the 5 elements, how they come into being, like ether, air, fire, water, earth. How slowly everything manifests. Ether is sound. Thought is also a sound. Desire is a very subtle form of conditioning, actually. And then it comes, that subtle conditioning takes the form of like sound, vibration. And then vibration, when it gets more, strong, the touch is accompanied to it. Then comes form. After form comes, the taste. Then comes the smell. And the concrete manifestation is the earth. So like that, we create our bodies. That this process of creating bodies is karma, fruitive reaction. Arjuna's question was that. So when the living entity is in material consciousness, he has to take on various bodies in the material world. That is called karma, or varied creations by the force of material consciousness. Srila Prabhupada's purport also gives a technical description of karma from the Chanda Yoga Upanishad. Karma in this technical sense specifically refers to the journey of a jiva to the heavenly planets, his return to earth, and his acquiring a human body after falling from the heavens in the form of rain. So a person dies, he goes up. Then if his karma is good, then he goes up. But if his karma is bad, he falls down into hellish life, much below. From hellish life to come to earth is very difficult because the intellect is lost. But when you go to higher planets, and you have enjoyed all your pious deeds, enjoyed, the bank balance is over, again you come down in the form of rain. And then when the rain enters the grains and we eat that grain, semen is formed. And then this semen is now implanted into another womb. So like that, the process of, this Atma, Karma, Phal is going on. A living entity performs activities as per his nature, as per his desire. He gets another body, high or low. And it is going on continuously from millions of years. So in answering Arjuna's first three questions, Krishna has clarified the difference between the body and the soul. So he has also explained the difference between the activity of the body, which causes the soul's bondage, and spiritual activity of the soul executed in the material world, which causes neither karma nor bondage. So these material activities, they cause bondage. But spiritual activities, they do not cause bondage. They are the cause of our liberation. That is clearly explained. In other words, the soul is spiritual and its nature is devotional service to Krishna. And its karma is the material body or its conditioned nature. So what is the conditioned nature in material world? To enjoy, to lord it over, to have that sense of I am the master. This is material nature. And what is spiritual nature? Jivere Swarupo Hoy Krishnera Nityadas. I am the servant of Lord. My business is to serve. So even when devotees are in the material world, when they develop this nature of serving and loving God, they are actually liberated. This is said by God himself. 4. Lord answers, O best of embodied beings, the physical nature which is constantly changing is called Adibhuta. So the physical material nature, the Mahatattva, or what is Adibhuta, these 5 gross elements, the 3 subtle elements, all these, the material manifestation. Why it is material manifestation? It is born out of ego, the desire. The ego gives rise to the desire to enjoy. And all this manifests in the form of the Pancha Mahabhuta. So this material nature, it manifests, and after a certain time, again it is destroyed. It manifests, unmanifests, manifests, unmanifests. But the spiritual nature, it is constant, it is eternal, it doesn't change. It is the same. Whereas here in the material world, everything, this karma, fruitive activity, all this is carried out by the jiva because of their desire to enjoy, desire to lord it over material nature. The universal form of the Lord, which includes all the demigods like those of sun and moon, is called Adi Deva. And I, the Supreme Lord, represented as the super soul in the heart of every embodied being, am called Adi Yajna, the Lord of sacrifice. So what is Adi Bhuta? Adi Bhuta is this material manifestation. In the coming chapters, we'll know the 24 elements through which the material world is made, how it is created, how from just that subtle ego, how this material world has manifested. So what is Adi Bhuta? Srila Prabhupada writes, the physical nature is constantly changing. Material bodies generally pass through 6 stages. You will see this 6 stages. What are they? They are born, they grow, they remain like that for some duration, and then they produce some byproducts. Have you ever seen a laptop giving birth to another laptop? Is it? So they say, Purnamada Purnamidam, when we chant this shloka, that Lord is a complete whole, and from him more complete wholes can be born, independent, that they can work similar. Like suppose a human being is there. How another human being is born out of him? Clone. With everything same. Now, because of giving birth to a baby, is the mother reduced in any way? She's the same person. So like that, this ability is there in the Lord also. In fact, this ability is there in the Lord, and He has created this system that from him many universes will come out, but he will remain the same. It's not that 100 minus 10 rupees becomes 90 rupees. 100 minus 100 is also 100. 100 plus 100 is also 100, which our small mind cannot think. So 6 stages, they are born, they grow, they remain for some duration, they produce some byproducts, they dwindle, and then they vanish. They are manifested. A thought process is manifested in the form of a material body. It stays for some time, maybe it reproduces more like himself, and then they gradually dwindle, and then they again go back into the unmanifested state. So uh, this material manifestation is a nature of manifestation and annihilation. This physical nature is called Adi Bhuta. It is created at a certain point and will be annihilated at a certain point. Krishna is the ultimate governor of ever-changing material nature. So under whose direction this material nature is born and it is devastated? Under the Supreme Lord. And Lord is answering all these questions to clarify Arjuna's doubts. Who is Adi Deva? Srila Prabhupada says, the conception of the universal form of the Supreme Lord, which includes all the demigods and their different planets, is called Adi Devata. Srila Prabhupada further describes the universal form, the Adi Deva Virat Rupa, in his purport Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam 2.1.29. The conception of the Virat Purusha or the gigantic form of the Supreme Lord is said to include all the dominating demigods as well as the dominating living beings. Even the minutest part of the living being is controlled by the empowered agency of the Lord. Since the demigods are included in the gigantic form of the Lord, worship of the Lord, whether in this gigantic material conception or his eternal transcendental form, as Lord Sri Krishna, also appeases the demigods and all the other part and parcels, as much as watering the root of a tree distributes energy to all the trees and plants, so also worship of universal gigantic form of Lord leads one to the right path. One need not risk entities, Lord himself and all others are imaginary, for everything is included in him only. So here the Lord also showed his Virat Swarup to Arjuna to for him to explain to him that I am everything. Because even after hearing so much, we are so conditioned we don't understand. We are so conditioned for millions of births. We are so conditioned into these yagnas, demigod worship and all that. We don't acknowledge that everything is Krishna. Who is Adi Yajna? Where in the body does he live? Krishna as the Supreme Lord and the Super Soul. So this was the sixth question. Who is Adi Yajna? So here the Lord answers that the Supreme Lord and the Super Soul. So Krishna as the Supreme Lord and Super Soul is the enjoyer of all sacrifices. Adi Yajna. He is the Yajna Pati. Whatever austerities, whatever sacrifices we perform, they are for Vishnu. How does he accept these sacrifices? As Paramatma in our heart. Where is he located? Arjuna asked. So now that will be answered. Srila Prabhupada writes, present in the body along with the individual soul is the super soul, a plenary representation of Lord Krishna. The super soul is called Paramatma or Adi Yajna and is situated in the heart. This is Shirodakshay Vishnu. In expansions, when how Krishna expands is explained in our Shastra. It is not concocted. So whenever we are speaking, we must have the reference from our Shastra. Where in the Shastra is it written? Like somebody tells you, don't name your child after God, you must inquire. Let us verify, where is it there in the Shastra? Is it there? Guru Sadhu Shastra. You must verify everything. Bali Maharaj, when he had read the Shastra, and when, Shukracharya, he tells him, don't give water to him, he is Vishnu. He is Mayapati and he has come to take away your kingdom. Bali Maharaj is an Aryan in the sense he knows the value of human life. He knows that everything I do is meant for God realization. He knows this. So he says, my Guru is wrong. If God has come to take from me, then this is the highest success I can get is to please the Lord. My birth is meant for that. He rejects his Guru because he counterchecks. No, what my Guru is saying is not there in the Shastra. He rejects Shukracharya and he gives, that tarpan, he puts water. In fact, Shukracharya goes and sits in the Kamandal and Vaman Devi pierces with a straw and he punctures his eye. So that is how you must how you buy a pot, an earthenware pot, खूब बजा के लेना है. See whether there are any holes there or there is any leakage. Like that, we must check a guru also. Please refer to the Shastra. Check whether what your guru is saying is correct or not correct. So Adi Yajna, the super soul is called Paramatma or Adi Yajna and is situated in the heart. The Paramatma along with the living entity, even though he is transmigrating so many bodies, even when he becomes a worm in a filthy place, the Lord doesn't leave him. Just imagine the Lord's love. Today, our son doesn't behave well with us, people forego their son also. But he's so merciful. He accompanies the living entity even in the filthiest of bodies. In conclusion, when we perform sacrifices or we worship the demigods or continuously taking real manifestation, we indirectly worship Krishna himself. If, however, we worship Krishna as the governing principle behind all the three, what are the three? The demigods, the material nature, Durga Mata, and Krishna himself. All the three. Who is taking it as an offering? Krishna. It's all going to Krishna. Because Krishna is the governing principle behind all the three, then we can know him. Even at the time of death. And what is the answer to brief Arjuna's final question? How can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? What is the governing principle? Who is the enjoyer of all the yajnas? So at the end of the 7th chapter, Krishna said, those in full consciousness of me, who know me, the Supreme Lord, to be the governing principle of the material manifestation of the demigods, of all the methods of sacrifice, can understand and know me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even at the time of death. So people who have realized that he is the cause of all causes and all the sacrifices are meant for his satisfaction, they remember him. They have realized God. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, even at the time of death, Krishna explained in this verse the potency of knowing and remembering him. How important it is for us to know him and remember him constantly, even though engaged in all kinds of activities, but still connecting everything to him is so important. Because at the time of death, through understanding him as Adibhuta, the Lord containing all the material transformation, Adi Deva, the source of the Virat Rupa and the demigods, and Adi Yajna, the one whom the process of Vedic sacrifice is meant to please. So all our rituals, all our festivals, all our yajnas, why are they so designed? Is for these two, knowing and remembering Lord. They are all meant to connect us to Lord. And a devotee is naturally doing it. Whole life is connecting whatever he eats, whatever he earns, whatever he does, he's connecting it constantly. So at the time, he will surely remember him. And what happens at the time of death, we will know. Knowing Krishna as the Supreme Lord in these ways allows Arjuna to work as his servant even in the battlefield to fight on the spiritual Brahman platform. So anybody who has developed this taste for serving the Lord, he's on Brahman platform. He's on spiritual platform. He's not in the material world anymore. And in his actual identity, such activities produce no karma. What means karma? They don't produce more bodies, end of more bodies, material bodies. And therefore do not develop another material body Arjuna can now focus his mind on Krishna and fight. So all these doubts Arjuna had. If I will incur sin, I will go to hell, my traditions will be spoiled. All this, he's saying this is the truth. 5. And whoever at the time of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, can at once attain my nature. What is his nature? Spiritual nature. Brahman. That is eternity, knowledge, and bliss. This is a key memory word and actually the crux of all our devotional service. 8.5 Antakale cha mameva smaran mukva kalevaram ya prayati samadbhavam yati na tatra samshaya. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Yati nastatra samshaya. No doubt about it. What does the yogi do? He is doing the same thing. He is trying to remember, because our mind, everything manifests grossly because of our desires, our conditioning. So we have to get out of that conditioning to come to our natural position. We are eternal servants of the Lord. So when somebody realizes this and he's constantly engaged in the service, naturally he will remember Lord at the time of death. And when someone remembers the Lord at the time of death, he immediately attains his spiritual nature. There is no doubt. 8.6 Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. He's declaring this. In fact, devotees welcome death. Other people are scared, because that is when you are transferred to the spiritual sky. That is your exam. And this whole life is the preparation for this exam, because after doing everything at the end of your life, if you don't remember him, again one more body, punarapi marnam, punarapi janmam. And this will go on for millions of years. So Srila Prabhupada here further explains that Krishna, that what happens when his devotees remember him at the moment of death. The general law also has been stated. We attain in our next life whatever we remember at the time of death. Srila Prabhupada's description of Bharat Maharaj becoming a deer illustrates this point. So Bharat Maharaj, he was trying to remember God. He was practicing Ashtanga Yoga. And what is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga? To remember God at the time of death. But because of his attachment to the deer, he remembered the deer and he got another material body of a deer. So even for a moment, that is why Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said there are only two principles in devotional service. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. If you follow these two principles and know intelligently how to mold your life in such a way that you never forget Krishna, then at the time of death, definitely. That's why these 9 processes, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, at least one of them. So when we hear, then the whole day we are remembering. In the class, we heard this. Even while we are working, it goes on in your mind. And this has to be a constant practice. Whatever one's nature is saturated with, one attains that always without fail. Arjuna, perhaps relieved upon hearing this, may have thought, Krishna is telling me to remember him. That is much better advice than telling me to fight. So now Arjuna, again he has doubt. If I remember Krishna, it's enough. No, why is he asking me to fight? So Krishna, however, clears away this possible misconception in the next verse, 8.7. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty. Here also he has not said just sit down in one place and remember me. That is not recommended. Bhakti means it is dynamic. Without service, there is no bhakti. You are just remembering Krishna, not doing anything. That Krishna never said that. It is spiritual activity. Activity is there. Just sitting and remembering. So carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. Activities dedicated to Krishna. If today's world, if we consider Hanumanji, he will be labeled as a terrorist by the demons. He burned the Lanka. He burned the whole city of gold. But why he is glorified? He did it as a service to the Lord. And in the first chapter, they say, that Arjuna's chariot had Hanumanji there. And they say, one must follow in the footsteps of the acharyas. They know the art of pleasing the Lord, just playing a part in the Lord's plan, in Lord's purpose, in fulfilling Lord's desire. And Sri Ram's plan was to get Sita back, Mata Sita back. And he played his role. They don't mind being villains or being labeled or being done this. That is because of our ego and attachment. So, often devotees wonder if it is necessary to remember Krishna while they do their duty or whether doing their duty for Krishna is sufficient. Here Krishna's answer. We should remember Krishna and do our prescribed duties. Nowhere it is recommended that you leave everything, don't do your work. Even though it may be difficult to remember Krishna while at work, it will be far more difficult to remember him at the time of death, when our consciousness is disturbed and overwhelmed with pain. So we must cultivate this habit of remembering Krishna even while at work. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to remember him at the time of death, when we are overwhelmed with pain. Therefore, Krishna wants us to practice now. Krishna will repeat his desire for us to constantly remember him in Bhagavad Gita 18.57 and in other verses. It is interesting that Krishna says, Mam Anusmara, go on remembering me. Even before Yuddhacha, we should remember Krishna in devotional work for his pleasure. To remember Krishna is so important that Krishna repeats the point again and again. Next verse also. 8. He who meditates on me as Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviated from the path, he, O Partha, is sure to reach me. A person who desires to serve, it starts with the desire, desires to serve Krishna will undoubtedly reach him in due course of time. His desire will be taken care of. So Prabhupada many times he said, this material world is very difficult to cross over by our own effort. But you can get out of here simply by desiring to get out of here. The problem is we don't want to get out of here. So this Bhagavad Gita is spoken so that we develop a desire to get out of it. How will you desire for something when you don't know about it? That is why God is telling about himself. One should meditate on the Supreme Person as one who knows everything, as he is the oldest, who is the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond all material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. The translation we will see. 9. Kavim, one who knows everything. Everything, Puranam, oldest. Anushashitram, the controller. Anu, than the atom, smaller than the atom. Ani Yamsham, smaller. Anusmaret, always thinks of. Ya, one who. Sarvasya, of everything. Dhataram, the maintainer. Achintaya, inconceivable. Rupam. Now, how do you know that Lord has a form? Rupam. He has. Bhagavad Gita, an authorized scripture, 700 shlokas. Rupam, whose form? Aditya Varanam, luminous like the sun. How is his form? That is also there. It is bright, light coming out of it. Tamasa, to darkness. Parastat, transcendental. It is transcendental, beyond material conception, beyond the modes of material nature. Tamasa, to darkness. So Lord is describing his qualities. And when we, meditate on his qualities, we are always attached to him. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows by the strength of yoga, with an undeviating mind, engaged himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what a yogi is trying to do? He is trying to remember the Lord. What are the devotees trying to do? They are always remembering the Lord. So without any, they're not forcing themselves also. The activities are so designed that they lovingly enjoying the remember Lord. So many festivals are there. So many occasions to celebrate and remember God. So 11 persons who are learned in Vedas, who utter Omkara, who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into the Brahman. So what are the destinations of people of quitting bodies, and in what state of mind, what they attain? Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So the primary criteria is you must remember Lord at the time of death. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagement. In yoga, what was the yogi doing? He detaches from all sensual engagements. He just ties down his senses and he sits, closing all the doors of the senses. And what are the 9 gates? The doors of the senses? I have told you that also. Eyes, nostrils, ears, mouth, genitals, and anus, evacuation. He closes all these doors. The yogi, what he does? He stops all sensual activity, closing all the doors of sense and fixing the mind on the heart and the life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. In yoga, that is what is done. After being situated in this yoga practice, vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So Om is it is a Brahman realization. You will realize him as Brahman and you will enter the spiritual sky. After Brahman realization is Paramatma realization. His form as Chaturbhuj Vishnu. Then comes the realization that he is a person Krishna. Bhagavan realization. 3 realizations are explained in Srimad Bhagavatam. 1.2.12 actually. 14. For one who is always remembering me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So a devotee is engaged in remembering Lord through these 9 processes, one or the other. So how is it now? Suppose a devotee, sometimes he's not thinking of anything. At the time of death, he thinks about, oh, what a laddu that is being offered to Lord. What will happen? He will still attain the Lord. Prasad. Prasad means the Lord himself. He will still, because on the absolute plane, the Lord, his paraphernalia, his name, his pastimes, everything is Krishna. That is the absolute spiritual plane. Suppose you are just thinking by at the time of death, the agarbatti or the flower, or maybe Lord's clothes, or maybe his jewelry, or maybe his nail, maybe his eyes, or maybe just the temple or our guru, a devotee. Even if you remember a devotee at the time of death, that is, you are transferred. Anything attached to Krishna. So powerful. So for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain. 15. After attaining me, the great souls who are yogis in devotion never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries because they have attained the highest perfection. So perfection means different things to different people, but we are here talking about the highest perfection. So like for the yogis, the highest perfection is still restricted to Brahman. And when you go still further, some people, they have different conception of perfection. But here the Lord is saying the true perfection is that the yogis who want to, become my personal associates, unite with me in service. Devotees, whenever the term devotees is used, or you must understand that it is always in bhakti service. So from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains me to my abode, Param Dhamam, the translation is there. You can go through the words. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Param Dhamam. Nowhere it is written Brahman. 16. I will read the translation. O Brahma Bhuvanat, up to Brahmaloka planet, Loka, the planetary system, Puna again, Avartina returning, Arjuna, Mam unto me, Upetya arriving to, but Kaunteya son of Kunti, Puna Janma rebirth, Na never vidyate. Unto me is the word used here to denote that person who comes unto me, Krishna. Krishna is standing there and he's saying, anybody who comes unto me never comes here again. By human calculation, 1,000 ages taken together to form the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. So 1,000 ages means one Chaturyug. Here is explaining what is the length of Brahma's life and what is eternity. So even the Brahma's life is just a fraction of a second for Krishna, and he's explaining. So 1,000 Chaturyugs makes one day of Brahma, and 1,000 Chaturyuga, and that is Satyug, Treta, Dwapar and Kalyug. 1,000 such cycles make one day of Brahma, and 1,000 such cycles make one night of Brahma. So just imagine how old is Brahma. But Brahmaloka is the highest planet in the material world. You get over that also. At the beginning of Brahma's day, all living entities become manifest from the unmanifest state, and thereafter, when the night falls, they are merged into unmanifest again. So the manifested state is the material body, material creation, planets, plants, everything. Unmanifest state is when they are with their desires in a sleeping state. When Brahma sleeps, all the living entities go and they get into their unmanifested sleeping state in the material nature. Then again, when the day starts, again those desires are still there. And as per the desires, again they get bodies. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. The body is gone, perished. Again, they go into that subtle state, in sleeping state. So Krishna is preparing a contrast to describe the benefits of leaving the material world for the spiritual world. Why you must go to the spiritual world? Because here you are not in your natural state. And there's so much suffering. Here Krishna explains that even Brahmaloka, the most wonderful planet, is influenced by time. The influence of time is there. Whatever is there will perish today or tomorrow. Even Brahma also dies. So it's just that Brahma's life is so long. So how does time affect us? Time forces annihilation of every material body. Death, the annihilation of a body, rips us away from all our attachments we have developed over a lifetime. Bhutva bhutva praliyate. This happens again and again. In addition, we are intermittently forced to an unmanifest state for thousands of yugas. See, we go into that unmanifest state. Just imagine Brahma's night is 1,000 cycles of yugas, 1,000 cycles. For 1,000 cycles, we are in manifest state, then thousands of years we are helplessly annihilated and we are forced to remain in darkness for 1,000 Chaturyugas, Brahma's night. And how many years Brahma lives? This is one day of Brahma. 365 days in 1 year. And Brahma's life is about 100 years. Just imagine. We go into that state and nothing to get us out from that darkness. So how precious is this human birth? If we lose this opportunity, God knows it might take Brahma's life also, we will not get the opportunity to know about Lord. So when devotees engage in devotional service and they help others to know about Krishna, it will help them. Others, remembering Krishna at the time of death. That is the criteria to get out of this material world, to remember Krishna. Krishna kindly describes this to awaken our detachment and renunciation. Based on the realization that no happiness exists within the matter for the eternal soul. Krishna contrasts this disastrous situation with those who become Krishna conscious, attained. So here he is telling us about the material world, that how for thousands of years even Brahma has to die. Why he is telling that? So that he develops detachment. We desire to be here in this material world. The idea, the conception of leaving this world also scares us. But now here Krishna, if you don't have a knowledge about the spiritual world, why will you desire to go there? So here in 20, he's telling, yet there is another unmanifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. But you must know, don't get scared that thousands of years you'll be in that unmanifest state. You will get bodies, more material bodies, more miseries. That is what is happening here. So I have another nature, Arjuna, my spiritual nature, where the effect of time is not there. Nothing is perished. Everything remains fresh. Krishna's superior spiritual energy is transcendental, which is eternal. It is beyond all the changes of material nature, which is manifest and annihilated during the days and nights of Brahma. Krishna's superior energy is completely opposite in quality to the material nature. Superior and inferior natures are explained in the 7th chapter that we have already discussed. He has told us about that. So 21. That which the Vedantis describe as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination. So avyakta, infallible, paramam gatim, destination. Yam, which praptya, gaining, na, never nivartante, come back. So the Lord is telling him about this spiritual nature of his, that you must try, that should be your objective. 22, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, who is greater than all, is attainable by unalloyed devotion. Although he is present in his abode, he is all pervading and everything is situated within him. Now again he is telling about how, though he is situated in his abode, just like sunlight, the sun is there millions of thousands of light years away from earth, but his influence is spread all over like the sunlight, the heat. Like that, though the Lord is in his abode, his influence is there throughout. His light, his effulgence, like that, he is the cause of everything. O best of Bharatas, I shall now explain to you the different times at which passing away from this world, the yogi does not come back. Now he is going to tell us about how this Bhakti Yogi, earlier he told us what happens to different, yogis, what is the destination they attain. Now here he is explaining. Now these 4 verses, actually 23 to 26, they are describing the destinations, different destinations that you will attain by remembering Krishna. Pertain to the Jnana yogis, Karma yogis, Ashtanga yogis, and they explain how yogis must carefully plan their deaths so that they will not return to the material world. The last 2 verses of this chapter, 27-28, for the devotees. So first he will describe what will be the destination of a Karma yogi, what will be the destination of a Jnana yogi, Ashtanga yogi, and last 2, devotees. So if we start 24, those who know the Supreme Brahman attain the Supreme by passing away from the world during the influence of the fiery God. Fiery God is the sun. In the light, at an auspicious moment of the day, during the fortnight of waxing moon, or during the 6 months when the sun travels in the north. So Uttarayan, they call it. So Jnana yogis, usually they pass away like that. See, the time at which you quit the body is also important. So that is why these, especially these yogis, they control their life breath to leave the body at an opportune moment. They can choose to leave the body at an auspicious time. So in this verse is for Jnana Yogi. Srila Prabhupada writes, when fire, light, day and fortnight of the moon are mentioned, it is to be understood that over all of them there are various presiding deities who make arrangements for the passage of the soul. At the time of death, the mind carries one to the path of new life. If one leaves the body at the time designated above, either accidentally or by arrangement, it is possible for him to attain the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. So the Jnani is, they can only attain the spiritual sky, but they may not attain Krishna's service or being his personal associate. Because if you see all the rasas also, there are 5 rasas. In detail, we cannot actually cover in this class, but the highest pleasure is to be in relationship. When one leaves by this method, the fire god takes him up to a certain point and hands him over to the next demigod, who turns him over to another. He passes through segments after segments of the universe until he reaches Brahman. So he goes up to Swargaloka, then Indra passes, the fiery god. He goes with the fire. We burn the actually fire god. He begins. Then he hands him over to the higher demigod. Like that, he goes up to Brahmaloka, handed over. And then he gets out of the material sky. The last planet in material sky is Brahmaloka. So another, he passes through the segment after segment of the universe until he reaches Brahman. Brahman is the spiritual sky. It's like you have got out of this material country to another country, but no house, no money, nothing in the air. That's all. So 25, the mystic who passes away from this world during the smoke, the night, the fortnight of the waning moon. Waning moon is when the Krishna Paksh actually. Or the 6 months when the sun passes to the south, reaches the moon planet, but again comes back. So this is told for a yogi. The verse repeats that Srila Prabhupada discussed in the purport of 8.3, the Karma Kandi, devoid of true spiritual desire, returns again to earth when his pious credits are near exhausted. So this is the destination of Karma Kandi. He doesn't even get out of the material sky. He goes to the higher planets, moon planet or Swarga, where the sense gratification is the highest. And when his account is over, he comes back to the earth. Then according to 26, according to Vedic opinion, there are 2 ways of passing from this world, one in the light and one in darkness. When one passes in light, he does not come back. But when he passes in the darkness, he returns. Because he is not complete in his knowledge of the absolute. How will you desire to go to the spiritual sky if you don't even know about it? So, this verse summarizes the 2 paths discussed in 24 and 25. These 2 paths always exist because the material world is beginless. How does knowledge of these paths affect the devotees? Now he's coming to that. 27. Although the devotees know these 2 paths, devotees have knowledge of both, of the material world also, of the spiritual world also. Oh Arjuna, they never get bewildered. Why? There is clarity. They know if we desire this, what will happen? If we desire that, what? That is why sometimes they say, no, devotees are actually very selfish because they know where their benefit, betterment lies. They are in knowledge. Devotees remain unconcerned about these 2 paths because their attention is focused only on devotional service. They neither desire to, attain the Brahman, nor they desire sense gratification. Karmi Jnani. So they are more interested in making the Lord happy. They don't perform activities so that they go to the, because you must know that mukti is highest sense gratification. The desire to get out of the material sky also is material. The devotee doesn't even desire that. He says, let me be in hell only, but please give me your service. He is only interested in Krishna's pleasure. That is why gopis are the highest. There is one story also that once, Narad Muni went and asked Lord Krishna, he was thinking that the Lord will take his name. He said, who is your highest devotee? So, he said, let us put forth a test. So the Lord told him, you go to all my devotees and you tell them that Krishna has a headache. And what is the cure for that headache? He needs the, charan dhuli of his devotees, and he has to put that on his forehead. So he goes to all the demigods, he goes to all the sages, everybody. And he says, please give your charan dhuli. Lord Krishna has a headache, and if you he applies your charan dhuli on his forehead, he will be cured. He said, they all say this Narad Muni has got out of his mind and he wants to trick us into committing a sin. If we give our charan dhuli to Lord Krishna to put on his forehead, we will rot in the hells for millions of years. This is the punishment for, putting your charan dhuli on deity of Krishna's head. Then in the end, Narad Muni goes to the gopis. And when he's talking to the gopis, he talks how first they ask, how is Krishna, this, that. And then in the middle of the conversation, he tells them, Krishna has a very severe headache. So he said, why didn't you tell us that he has a severe headache? What can we do? So he says, if you give your charan dhuli and he puts it on the forehead, he will be cured immediately. They immediately, don't even think, they take this charan dhuli and go and give it to Krishna. Then Narad Muni is wondering, don't you know what is the implication of giving your charan dhuli as per our shastra? He said, maybe we will rot in the hell for millions of years. It's okay as long as Krishna is happy. So they have transcended the desire of mukti also. That is why a devotee's status is higher. It is the highest. He has no self-interest. Even at the cost of his suffering, he is ready to serve the Lord. Those who know the Supreme Brahman, so we were here. Although the devotees know these two parts, O Arjuna, they are never bewildered. They are fixed. We have to serve the Lord. That's all. Devotees remain unconcerned about these two paths because their attention is focused only on devotional service. Simultaneously, their understanding of the adverse consequences of engaging in fruitive activities, as outlined in text 25, serves to intensify their commitment. Because they know what should not be done, they are more convinced to serve the Lord. They have come to know. The final verse in this chapter underscores the knowledge that fixes a devotee on the path of devotion. 28. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these, and at the end he reaches the supreme eternal abode. So the devotee, what is the purpose of all these tradition, sacrifices, yagyas, pujas, dan, tap, yag? What is the purpose? That at the end of your life, you must remember Krishna. The People who do not have knowledge about Krishna, they, they desire different things. So to desire Krishna and his abode, we must know about Krishna. So here we will just read the translation of shloka number 28. Vedeshu, in the study of Vedas, Yagneshu, in the performance of yajna, sacrifice, Tapahashu, tapashu, in undergoing different types of austerities or tapasyas, cha, also, eva, certainly, daneshu, in giving charities, yat, that which, punya phalam, result of pious work, pradishtham, indicated, ayeti, surpasses, tat sarvam, all those, idam, this, viditva, knowing, yogi, the devotee, param, supreme, sthanam, sthanam, abode. Sthanam means place. It's not Brahman. It's not Brahman. It is not effulgence or light. It is specified here. Sthanam, abode, upayati, achieves, cha, also, adyam, original. So the devotee, what is the purpose of all this dan, tap, yajna that we do? All these festivals, all these rituals, all this demigod worship, so that we come to the point of remembering God at the time of death, which is the criteria to attain his spiritual abode. So a devotee attains that just by devotional service. He knows that if I'm going to waste my time, even 1 minute in all these other things, I may lose this opportunity. He's intelligent. He knows what is the result of fruitive activity. And he engages himself 24 hours. He schedules his life in such a way that he constantly remembers Krishna. So this verse summarizes chapters 7 and 8 by describing the supreme position of Bhakti path. At the end of chapter 6, 46, 47, we heard that devotees are greater than ascetics, tapasvis, empirics, jnanis, and fruitive workers. This verse clarifies that point by explaining how a devotee is the best. How is the devotee best? First, it is mentioned that devotee is best, but how is he best? He has explained now. By his devotion, a devotee automatically gains the results of all other paths without even desiring them. Whether the devotee desires anything or not, now it is the Lord's responsibility to take care of, because bhakti attracts Krishna and Krishna serves the desires of. That is why they say Vancha Kalpataru, we say the prayer that devotees are desire trees. Whatever they desire, you have, they can fulfill. Because Krishna takes care of their desire. They don't desire anything, but Krishna knows what they will like, they will desire. Their only desire is Krishna. More importantly, however, devotees enter the spiritual world. Srila Prabhupada places these two chapters in the context of the entire Bhagavad Gita. The word idam viditva indicate that one should understand the instructions given by Sri Krishna in this chapter and the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. One should try to understand these chapters not by scholarship or mental speculation, but by hearing them in association of devotees. Chapter 7 through chapter 12 are the essence of Bhagavad Gita. The first 6 and the last 6 chapters are like the coverings for the middle 6 chapters, which are especially protected by the Lord. This Bhakti Yoga is specially protected by the Lord. Safe zone. If one is fortunate enough to understand Bhagavad Gita, especially these middle 6 chapters, in the association of devotees, then his life at once becomes glorified beyond all penances, sacrifices, charity, speculation, etc. for one who can achieve all results of these activities simply by Krishna consciousness. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport to the 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of attaining the Supreme. So, what is auspicious, what is inauspicious, the definition to that is given here. So we look for good Mahurat, bad Mahurat. But what is auspicious is remembering Krishna, most auspicious. So how we discriminate. So when devotees make choices, their auspiciousness is to remember Krishna. Their inauspiciousness is to forget Krishna. And the most auspicious thing in your life is, in millions of births, is that you get association of a devotee. That is mentioned here. That association of devotees is the crux for getting out of this mess. So first, out of the 9 processes of devotional service, the first was hearing. We heard from that, and stage wise, if you see, Adau Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav, Prem. These are the stages. As we progress, we can analyze these stages. So the next stage is, Adau Shraddha, Sadhu Sang, devotee, association of a devotee. So if something can happen most auspicious in your life is that you will come in contact of a devotee who is going to tell you about God, which will develop your love and determination to know more about Him. And then finally you will desire to be with Him. So we end it here. Any questions or comments? We have more time on hand today.
No, Mataji.
Everything is clear, Mataji, today. Any realizations you would want to share about the course? What your experience has been so far and how it has benefited you?
Ma'am, Mataji, I just can say that I've learned so much things. I have not gone through till my life in depth of this Gita. So by doing this 8 days, giving 8 to 9 days, uh, I'm gaining some knowledge. And today only you have said that question and answer must to gain a knowledge. So appreciate that.
Yes, yes. So this is one of the rarest, good fortune that you get to know this knowledge. Millions of births, they pass by without us knowing about this knowledge. And the best that can happen in our life is that somebody said, how does Krishna reciprocate? How will you know that Krishna is reciprocating? Everybody, is praying for happiness, is praying for to know. How will you know that Krishna is reciprocating your desires? So Prashanta Mataji told us in our Bhakti Shastri, that he will come in the form of guidance in your life. You will meet somebody who will guide you, or maybe something will be arranged where you will get arrangement for knowing this knowledge. So that is how Krishna reciprocates in to the to our faith, our Shraddha. He will make us progress on the spiritual path gradually. He will make arrangements. But we have to desire. That desire to know Krishna. I want to know Bhagavad Gita is a desire. Maybe some of you had it. Otherwise, why would you have chosen this 18-day course? And that Shraddha is further strengthened by the Lord by creating a facility through someone. It can be anybody. He can make anybody a tool. So, any more realizations about other participants? What their experiences have been after hearing about Bhagavad Gita? Rajamouli Prabhuji is here, and Chiranjeev Reddy Prabhuji is here. Any realizations you can share? Archana Mataji, are you there?
Yes, Mataji.
Hmm.
So the main realization I got from this course was Jnana Yoga. There, the point where you mentioned that your mind is your friend when properly used, and also enemy when you cannot control it. So that really changed the way I think. So usually because of work stress, family stress, and many things, we always dwell on. Always our mind goes to negative side. Though we have positive points to remember, we don't show gratitude for them. Instead, we dwell on negative things. So when I heard this word, actually, a few things we know that we shouldn't think negative, we shouldn't, but still we don't realize. We always go on negative sides. So from the day I heard that point from you, so I started. I mean, I control myself not to think negative. Like, keep your mind mostly on positive things. As you also mentioned that it always comes from practice. So I'm practicing that not to overthink something that I cannot change, and instead put my energy on something I can actually change.
Hmm.
So it I can seriously see a drastic difference from past 3 days, that I'm not putting my mind on negative things which cannot control, and I'm taming it to be my friend instead of being my enemy.
So that's very nice, Mataji. Thank you. And you see, the mind, by nature, it is very stubborn.
Right.
So the best way to control the mind is the holy name.
Right,
Then
Mataji.
you just strengthen your mind, and then the external influences, somebody comes and insults you, and here goes your mind. Oh, I will show him the place. So one has to come to realize that everything happening around me is for my purification. Actual positive is when you purify.
Right. Even I'm realizing that. So whatever I'm going through, I'm just saying my mind that it's all because of my purification. Uh, Nothing to worry about it, and leave everything on the Lord.
Yes, leave him. He has arranged for these joy rides, and sometimes we go up and we are screaming, then we go down, we are sometimes happy. So all these joy rides are arranged for us so that we realize God and we desire to serve him. Nothing else.
Right, Mataji.
So any more questions or comments for today's class? So, yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Actually, today I don't have any questions. I just wanted to say that when I was in my school times, I had read Bhagavad Gita twice. So then, but then it was like mental speculation. What I read, I thought this must be this way, this must be this way. So now I could understand the difference from hearing from someone else. Like it's like hearing from a devotee's uh, perspective. So I'm feeling very nice when you hear it from someone else, and what is the exact thing, and what we just mentally speculate, how much difference there comes that way. So that way it's given me a good perspective.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. So that helps. You see, that is why this hear it from parampara, unadulterated knowledge from the right perspective. Because the wrong perspective is going to change the conclusions. So that is so nice, your realization. So Any more contributions, or we will end the class here?
Hello, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Rohini
Hare,
Mataji.
Hare. Uh, I just means I just forget to say this. Okay, Hare Krishna or Radhe Radhe. I don't know why it happens, but there is no intention involved in this that I don't want to say this, but somehow it did. Uh, so okay, one thing that I am today I joined at this time because I am not doing well, but I thought that no, whatever it may be, let me see what's going on.
No, no problem, Mataji. We are just exchanging thoughts, our realizations, because I think the questions are not there today. So we had time. So we are just sharing realizations.
So yesterday when I dropped a message for you that okay, I want to talk something like that. So I am literally, I don't know why it is a pattern I have noticed, and when I connect the dot, um, then I realize okay, something. It seems as if uh, something was planned, and I was uh, just mm, uh, dropped into this situation
Hmm.
so that I can understand the things which I would have never thought of. Means it's like sometimes see, I say means since I am means my relationship with whatever we can say universe or and supreme being to be. So I take it as a very means mutual understanding type of relationship. Okay, that like that okay, I cannot hate you but I cannot love you. So I say that okay, you are a conspirator and I will chase you, that why did you do this for me, but it does not mean that I will be taking revenge. Okay, so so it's this kind of mentality. So, so it still means people say okay, means it's good like they use proper name and all, but in my case it happens whenever I say okay conspirator, again you threw me in this situation. Good, very good. So uh, I am more able to relate to the higher soul.
That
Because
is what, yeah, that is what is required. Relate to him.
so, so I thought maybe it's a personal one that I am able to read it like this, like a friend, like a okay elder brother or uh, elder sister, something like this, or maybe means I just created my own. I think so, as per the time, the way I felt, I did that. So uh, the days which I have observed till now, in last 3 to 5 or 6 days, so I have noticed that seriously, like people say that things happen for a reason. Then I used to say that okay, as a human tendency, we have this thing that okay, everything whatever it is happening, so we want to give a meaning to it. So that's why we keep on saying, or else it's not necessary that it might be possible every time. But I don't know, always I have that much means I just keep little bit space to someone to challenge me. Always, I don't know why. That okay, I am, this is my understanding, but I am open to it. Just show me the other side. Means I just want to see the other side because I'm not able to see, so I cannot commit also that okay, this is the only thing, the way I think is the right way. So I just want to see that what are the other possibilities. And what happens that the moment I put myself like this, so very means beautifully things manifest in front of my eyes. And then I realized that okay, this was I was asking 3 days back. Okay, I want to understand this, and now guru or teacher is there to teach me.
Hmm. Exactly. So that is how Lord reciprocates. He will come in your life as guidance. He will
Yeah.
send somebody, maybe a representative or someone. And one must be intelligent enough to recognize this auspicious moment in one's life when one is getting transformed in his perception of everything around him happening in his life, and he's able to perfectly relate to it,
Mhm.
that it's happening for his betterment. And Mataji, I'm very sorry. Yesterday I had sevas in the temple, so I
Okay, it's
couldn't
okay.
speak to
No,
you.
no.
But one of these days I will send you a message whenever is a convenient time. We will speak.
Mhm.
Definitely, love to do so.
Okay. So, this ma'am, Mataji, meeting you is also the similar way that it happened so quickly. Like yesterday, no, 2 days back, suppose, the day I got call from the ISKCON Hyderabad. So before that, actually, I heard about one of the gurus and all, and I was just thinking, now this is so gender biased, and what if there was a teacher who was female?
Okay, okay.
And what happened? See, and what happened that I am getting the call in means evening that from tomorrow you have classes. I said, huh? Classes? Okay. And the moment after I said, okay, someone with means clear means I just wanted always a teacher that okay, just who can challenge me in any way. I'm very much happy to get criticized and challenged if in order to get convinced. So this is the procedure, very weird kind of procedure, but actually this is how I understand things. So maybe I got the thing like that only.
No, ye yathamam prabhadyante. Lord says, as someone surrenders, likewise reciprocate. As you desire, so he will reciprocate. So you desire something like this, you've got this. He has responded to your prayers or your
Hmm.
relation.
So it's not one-sided relationship basically.
No, relationship is always exchange,
Yeah,
two-sided.
two-sided. It's
One-sided relationship is adulation.
not relationship.
That's all. So this is a reciprocation, and God reciprocates. So,
Hmm.
so
So
thank you,
uh,
Mataji, for your realization. Anything else you would want to add?
I am not means I just not able to understand that. Like suppose you told that okay, this is something which happens that when you desire, so there is some reciprocation. Okay, so there is some confirmation now. But before that, I just keep on thinking, okay, why this happened to me? Okay, then after thinking a lot, I just get tired and say, okay, let it be. Again, I will see what is going to happen in future. So, focusing on, so I'm not able to understand that how to realize that this is okay, right? Means what I'm looking at and what I'm feeling is not only my perception but also confirmation also in this. Uh, I don't know that I think I need to work or things will just settle as per the time. So as a seeker, I'm just leaving things as it is.
As
The
a seeker, Mataji, what you can do is
mm,
to be very fixed in your sadhana.
mm,
The more you purify, the more you will understand. Ye yathamam prabhadyante, this shloka means that.
mm, mm,
So, as whatever is your feeling in surrendering to God, the Paramatma is watching in your heart. You cannot hide anything from Him. So, whatever you are seeking, He will reciprocate only that much.
mm,
But we must make constant effort, not that He will do. We don't have much time in the human form of birth also. Just imagine Brahmaji's lifetime and our lifetime. In blink of an eye, it will be over.
mm,
So Now that you have realized what is the purpose of life, don't waste time. Try to purify yourself faster pace. And that
Okay.
faster pace is
Hmm.
association of devotees and most importantly chanting the holy name of Lord. As you purify further, the reciprocations will become faster. Your understanding will grow, your mind will become stronger, and then you will be convinced, nishtha, that is the stage, determined now to succeed on the devotional path. That is how it grows. So now that you know, of course, the doubts will be there. They will go on getting cleared. Will become faster if you follow this process.
Hmm.
Try to offer food to God and eat prasad. It starts with the tongue always. Chant the holy names. At least if these two you follow initially, that should be enough.
Hmm.
And association of devotees has to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, some other influence will come, you'll forget everything.
Mm-hmm. I can understand. That means the more I focus on the what I want to understand, so things the people keep on meeting one by one, and I'm able to understand. Okay, now they were here in bird only, but why I am getting to know them right now because there is some purpose.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Mataji. I think Satyanand Sahu Prabhuji wanted to speak.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I have one question which actually always keep me in doubting. Who is a guru actually? Whom we can call as our guru?
Actually, there are, I think the voice is going. Will Prabhuji mute, everybody can mute. So, there are different terms used for, teacher, mitra, friend, but guru is that person who takes care of your spiritual elevation. He is responsible for guiding you in the ultimate purpose of life. You can have a guru for physics, biology, doctorate, matlab teacher actually.
Yeah,
Guru
Mataji. Yeah.
specifically means the person who will guide you spiritually in relation to God. So one must recognize who has, really opened us up and shown us or told us about God and our relationship with Him.
Mataji, there was a sloka I read somewhere. I won't remember exactly from which book I wrote. It was explaining about the Guruji, who can be our Guruji in spiritual world. Do you remember that sloka from where it is?
तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यांति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिना तत्त्वदर्शिना.
From which book it is, ma'am?
This is
Mataji?
from Bhagavad Gita only.
Which purport? Which sloka?
Yeah, I'm coming to that. I think in the fourth chapter we did.
I just trying to recall today morning. I won't remember that.
He actually, I should remember the shloka.
And Mataji, as we discussed today about the karma,
4.34 Prabhuji, please open your, I told you it's chapter 4. 4.34. तद्विद्धि प्रणिपातेन परिप्रश्नेन सेवया उपदेक्ष्यांति ते ज्ञानं ज्ञानिनः तत्त्वदर्शिनः. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him. submissively and rendered service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. So this is the process. You cannot know about God who has not realized God. Tattva Darshina. So who is the Tattva Darshi? Who is able to differentiate between material, spiritual, number one, and who has seen the truth, who has realized truth. Why they always say realized, you know, realized, this term is because knowing and realizing are different. In Isopnishad, it is mentioned, the Lord mentions that I reveal myself to a person in his heart based on his surrender. The knowledge about God cannot come from books. It will come from realized people because they have realized their relationship with God. They have experienced it. Everybody has their own, spiritual, like Rohini Mataji was just saying. I keep asking questions and here comes. Lord reciprocates within our heart. So if you want to learn fast, instead of waiting for your own realization, which may or may not come because you are not sufficiently purified, you must approach a person who is completely purified and who has realized the truth. So we don't hear from other gurus because they are reading that same Bhagavad Gita to us. That Bhagavad Gita is always there. The acharya or the saint or sadhus or guru, they don't just read the book, they share their realizations. That is what makes a difference. Tattva Darshina. They can see clearly, material, spiritual, Tattva Darshi of the truth. They know. What do you mean by truth? Truth, ultimate truth, that which doesn't change. And only God, Bhagavan, doesn't change. Everything else keeps changing. His abode, his name, his pastimes, his dham, they never change. That is confirmed in today's chapter. Bhukta Bhukta Praliyate. The material nature keeps changing. So this realization, the sadhu will share with you. That is how you will progress. If you are going to wait for your own realizations, so he is like a, what you say, climbing stick. The creeper of bhakti is sown in your heart by a devotee. When you water it with knowledge and service, it gradually, reaches the spiritual sky, further progresses till it reaches Krishna's feet. So the guru is that support stick which helps this climber grow to the spiritual sky. He is your connection. That is why guru is required. I hope that answers
Yes,
Prabhuji.
yes, Mataji, yes, Mataji.
So thank you all so much for your attention. So we will end the class here. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti vaishnav vrind ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare